My favorite JoJo character is maybe Whole Horse. I like Whole Horse a lot. He's freaking great. Love Whole Horse. Or Zeppeli, the old Zeppeli. And my favorite JoJo is probably Joseph. My favorite part to watch, well, I only watch up to part 3. Like I said, I'm just watching. But my favorite part is part 4, right? My guilty pleasure is part 3, right? Because listen, I was there in the trenches on Tumblr when JoJo was like really popular, like 5 years ago or whatever. And I love Jotaro, and I love part 3, and I love Stardust Crusaders like in general. It's just like so cool. But let's be honest, it's not the best like on its own. Like it's just like, Dio, doko da, Dio. And then some guy comes up, you have to die. Ha! Jojo, it's an enemy stando. Be careful. And he's like, Nani?
Don't you know that if you blink twice on a Monday, you fall into my stance power?
And then he's like, yada yada does it. And then he's like, but what if I just beat the shit out of you? And he just beats the shit out of him. He's just like, oh, interesting.
How you gonna do that? How you gonna get out of this one?
And he's like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. And then they do that for like 24 episodes, right? And then they get to Dio, and then it's like the most interesting when they finally get to Dio. But then it ends, you know. And then each stand is just like, my stand beats the crap out of your stand. And then this guy's like, well, my stand is like fast, and it can like punch you really hard. You know, the stand powers were like basic, but it's so cool, you know. And it's like so hype. You know what I mean? So it's definitely like a guilty pleasure for me. And then in part 4, like spoiler alert, but like, you know, I mean, we're on Stone Ocean by now, right? I think we're out of spoiler territory, but you know, like they beat Dio, of course, and it's all good. Like, and of course I wouldn't want it any other way, but then like Star Platinum has the world, and then ergo, how could you have, like, I think it's cool that in part 3 and 5 it's connected to like the story, right? But Jotaro's too OP, right? And how could you have a story progress? The answer is just to write him not there. He's just like not there, right? Because if this plot, like part 4, I'm like watching part 4, and like I read it a long time ago, but it's like, oh yeah, like it would just be like Jotaro shows up and he's just like yada yada daze, and he just like beats the crap out of you because he's just like so strong, right? So in part 4, he just has to like not be there for the plot to progress. And spoiler alert, but guess how it ends? Guess how it ends? When they think all hope is lost and they're like, what are we gonna do? It's just like, guess who's there? It's Jotaro. He shows up. And when he shows up, it's like, oh, you showed up. Guess the series can end because you can beat the crap out of this guy for us, Jotaro. Because guess what? Your stand is strong and fast and can stop time. So thanks for showing up. We can beat this guy and the part's over. And then in Stone Ocean, it's the same thing. He shows up in the beginning and you're like, oh, Jotaro's here, right? He can stop time and beat the crap out of this guy. So you have to write him out of the scenario, or else nothing can progress story-wise as long as it's attached to Jotaro and Jotaro is like present. And I don't think it's bad writing. Like, I'm sympathetic. Like, you know, it's just like, what else could you do, really, you know, except completely depart from that storyline, which they did. But then you do, and it's like, you know what? I'm going to stop talking right there. That's the end. That's the end of it. But I really like part 3. It's a guilty pleasure. Part 4 is my favorite. But I think that part 2, Battle Tendency, is like, it's weird. It's the best season. It's the best season of JoJo. It's the best part of JoJo, but it's not my favorite. But it stands alone so well. It like stands on its own so incredibly well. The season with Car, the Pillarman, and like Caesar and stuff. It's just so solid. It's so good. I think it's the best part. Battle Tendency. Wait, no. Well, no, he's not my favorite character, but one of my favorite characters is, what's his name? Like Strollheim or something, I swear. He's the guy with the cannon in his chest. Strollheim. What does he scream? He like screams something, right? He's like, German engineering. is the best. And he like blasts the laser out of his chest. I love that guy. It's the greatest in the world. And he like blasts like a laser. It's so epic. Dude. I really love JoJo, you know? I cosplayed back in the day. I was one of those. I told you, I was in the trenches. I get a military discount when I go shop at a hardware store. Because I cosplayed JoJo as part of JoJo fandom back in the day.